What's your dirty little secret? It wasn't raccoons that spilled that paint in the garage in 1993. It was me. God, what a pure person. Hey, spared me an ass whoopin'. When our phone was disconnected, 1990s, for non-payment, I dialed 911 to see if they would still pick up. They did, but I hung up right away. 10 minutes later the cops showed up at my door, and I blamed it on the kids. Pro parent move right here. Great job. When I was in high school, I failed second semester of biology. So here comes the next year and I have to retake it. Again, I pass first semester but fail second semester, which means retaking the entire class. Well, I transferred schools after that. When I was getting all my transfer information looked over in the office at the new school, the woman noticed I had 2 passed first semesters but never passed a full class. I said passing 2 semesters is kinda like the full class. She winked, and that was that. No more bio. So I guess it's our dirty little secret. I can definitely relate to this. I had a counselor who straight up turned some of my DS to BS when I changed schools before my senior year. I had a super rough home life and I told her about it when she asked why my test scores were very high and my grades were low. Thanks to her bumping up my GPA, I was able to get into college. I know it's probably not right and she risked her job, but that woman legit probably saved my life. I saw her about a year ago out in public and gave her the biggest hug. This is why sometimes the ends justify the means. When I was a kid, my mom took away my favorite computer game CD for a few weeks as punishment for something I did. Bad grade, I think? I found where she hid it, photocopied the CD label, cut out the print, glued it to a blank disc, and put that in the place of the real CD. Surprisingly, she never noticed. I played it when no one else was home. It's been 18 years, and I still haven't told her. My mom would take my NES controllers or power cord, as punishment, easier to hide than the whole NES, but I always had spares from friends that she didn't know about. My parents never let me play rated M games, so I would print out perfectly scaled T ratings and glue them onto my M-rated discs and cases. I failed my electrical design class in college but work at an electrical utility company as a designer. I didn't fail, exactly, but I did get a C in web design in college, which was the lowest grade I'd ever received while enrolled there. I not only went on to become a professional web designer, I eventually became a teacher as well and actually took over that same web design class from the instructor who gave me a C. He gave you a C for conqueror. C for comeback today though. C is for meatloaf. I never wrote my 7th grade science paper on dysentery, and when my teacher asked me if I turned it in, I said yes. She looked through all of the papers and stacks of paperwork on her very crowded desk, and she said she knew she saw it there somewhere. I got a B for a paper I never wrote. Sorry, Ms. Weber. Edit, it wasn't cystic, it was just plain old dysentery. Sorry for my subconscious musical edition edit too. All of the replies confirm that so many of us made bad decisions but had awesome teachers. Kudos to the good ones out there keeping our dreams of academic progression alive. I rented a history book for fun from the school library in my senior year of HS. They claimed I didn't return it, but I really had thought I did, so I held strong and they dropped the fee. I felt like such a jerk when I found it that summer. It lives in my bookcase now. One time when I was like 5 to 9 years old, my dad was shopping around at a lumber store. I wandered around alone and couldn't find a bathroom. I had to pee so bad. So I just found a secluded back corner behind some wood and pissed on the floor. 30 years later I still drive by that place every day and remember. According to natural law, that lumber store belongs to you now. I act a lot stupider at work so they don't rely on me too much. I've often thought my life would be easier if I did this. Once my colleagues know I can do something, they don't even try to learn, just send whatever it is straight to me. Performance punishment is 100% real. One time I farted so hard my back cracked. The CEO of the company is a micromanager who wants to make even the tiniest decisions. He has a coffee mug with the text Rule 1, I am always right, Rule 2, when not, see Rule 1. It might be a joke, but I feel it's a constant subliminal message he sends himself. So, I hid the mug a couple of months ago. I just left the company last week, and did not return the mug. Ada, thanks for the awards, this is now my top comment. At the time he looked for it, frantically searching all offices and inquiring us if we are using his mug. I played dumb obviously and laughed my ass off. I did not steal it, I am 6 feet 6 inches, no one else in the company is, and it sits on top of the kitchen cabinets, just out of sight and reach. I just left the company last week, and did not return the mug hashtag who's right now, bitch? Cackles all the way home. The janitor finds the mug. Becomes the new CEO. Former CEO, well this sucks. I'm in love with my roommate. He doesn't know. We have been friends for about a year and I've just been crazy about him the whole time. The first thing he told me about romantic relationships is that he is not looking and is not interested. So I respect that boundary and don't say anything. Major respect to you. That shows a lot of self-control and consideration for the other person. Don't listen to the people saying just do it as if you aren't a good judge of whether that's a good idea. Not to mention he is your roommate, so you're potentially jeopardizing your entire living situation. I hope the very best for you. I know that must be painful and challenging. But I trust you are the best judge of whether and when to voice your feelings, and I admire you respecting your roommate's boundaries, and your own it sounds like. Just do it as if you aren't a good judge of whether that's a good idea. Man, this some real talk. Reddit loves to toss out relationship advice as though the person telling the story would have a worse assessment of the situation than some stranger reading nothing more than a paragraph of said story. I got an $8,000 scholarship, due to a clerical error, for having above a 3.7 GPA all semester, but my GPA was actually 3.07. 5 years old me ruined my parents' marriage. I distinctly remember finding what I now know as a condom unused in our old station wagon. Me not knowing any better began playing with it. Got done, tossed it in the trash. Fast forward a short time later. My father returns home and begins to drag the can to the road. As he closes the lid he notices said condom and you can guess where it goes from there. I didn't learn that was the reason until I was about 14 to 15. I'm curious, now that you're older, have you spoken to your parents about it? Honestly no, I haven't. I have no clue how to tell them or have a conversation about it. Other than you lovely souls and my therapist, no one knows. A coworker retired and I inherited one of his reports, which is one of my employer's key performance metrics. Every 2 weeks it would take him an entire 8-hour day to complete. The first week I was able to automate most of it down to 1 hour. Over the next nearly 10 years, I've improved it to the point that it runs in less than a minute, then 14 minutes to quality check it. I then spend the next 8 hours surfing Reddit, watching movies, doing whatever I want in my office from home. All this time, I've told my boss it takes me 8 hours to perform, and sometimes I'll tack on extra hours because of technical issues. No questions asked as long as it's in his inbox by Cobb Friday. About 8 years ago I had a conversation with a coworker who works for my boss's boss. It turns out he receives the report on Monday and never reads it. It gets filed away and the only time they get looked at is during an audit. I've had to discuss the reports just twice, and showed them an SOP I wrote that demonstrates how it's done, without the automation. Auditor checks the box, next item. Whenever I'm on vacation, I turn the SOP over to someone else who'll have to compile the report by hand. When I get back, they've always mentioned how do you do all that in just 8 hours. At this point I've charged my boss nearly an entire year for sitting on my ass. I read this same story back like a year ago. I wonder if you're the same guy? I think he automated his account to post this when appropriate. I lost the school spelling bee on purpose. The girl I was against put a lot of time and effort into it, whereas I basically just showed up. Plus, she was more on the nerdy side, not a lot going outside of school, and I felt she needed a victory. She missed a word, I purposefully missed it to keep her in. This happened a few times. Later, I missed one on purpose to give her the victory. She went on to the state competition. The teacher giving the words threw me a look of disgust, as she knew what I did. Oh well. I signed my asshole uptight boss up to multiple porn subscriptions. Edit, grammar police, you got me. For the record, my asshole is just fine. Thank you for your concern. My comment, perhaps more grammatically accurate, should read, I signed up my boss, who is an uptight asshole, to multiple porn subscriptions. To everyone else, thank you so much for the upvotes and the awards. You guys totally made my day. Sign them up for Scientology newsletters. All you need is an email address and a real address. Even if they unsubscribe from the letter, it won't actually, and your boss will receive Scientology junk mail for the rest of his life, or at least until he moves. That's just plain evil. Keeping that one in mind.